The execution, the great chamber of Unity Prime, fell silent as the energy field hummed to life. Ambassador Marcus Webb stood in the center of the platform, his hands bound with glowing restraints. Around him, delegates from 47 alien species watched from their elevated seats. Some looked curious, others seemed bored. None showed mercy. Prime Arbiter Krell rose from his throne, his forearms spreading wide. His insectoid face clicked as he spoke through the translator device. Marcus Webb of Earth, you have been found guilty of violating the expansion treaty. Your species colonized the forbidden systems of Delta 9, Kepler 442, and Ross 128 without council permission. This crime cannot stand unpunished. Webb lifted his head. His face was calm, though sweat beaded on his forehead. The camera drones circled him, broadcasting his final moments across the galaxy. You're making a mistake, Webb said quietly. Humanity doesn't respond well to executions. Krell's mandibles twitched in what might have been amusement. Your species has been part of this council for only 80 years. You are children playing among adults. Today, you learn respect. No, Webb replied. Today, you teach us something else entirely. Krell raised one hand. The energy field brightened, crackling with blue light. Webb closed his eyes. The dissolution took 3 seconds. When it ended, nothing remained but empty air and the faint smell of ozone. The Earth delegation sat frozen in their observation box. Commander Lisa Grant gripped the railing so hard her knuckles turned white. Beside her, Diplomat Robert Kim stared at the empty platform, his face pale. Krell turned to face the chamber. Let this serve as warning to all species. The Council's laws are absolute. Expansion without permission will not be tolerated. Humanity will now withdraw from all disputed territories or face further consequences. The alien delegates nodded. Some made sounds of approval. The Vex species clicked their approval. The reptilian Skarn hissed in agreement. Even the peaceful lumens dimmed their glow in acceptance. The Council had spoken. The matter was settled. Or so they believed. The news reached Earth 6 hours later through the quantum relay network. The signal arrived at the Unified Government headquarters in Geneva at 0300 local time. Within minutes, every major city knew. Within an hour, the entire planet mourned. President Elena Torres stood before the emergency assembly. She was 53 years old, with gray streaks in her black hair and eyes that had seen war before. Behind her, the flag of United Earth hung motionless. Ambassador Webb is dead, she said simply. The Galactic Council executed him for doing what any nation would do, expanding to ensure our survival. They murdered him to send us a message. The assembly hall erupted in shouts. Representatives from every continent demanded action. Some called for war. Others urged caution. All shared the same burning anger. Torres raised her hand for silence. The Council believes this will make us submit. They believe we will bow our heads and accept their judgment. She paused, her voice dropping to ice. They don't know us very well. In a secure bunker 300 meters below Geneva, Military Command had already begun mobilization. Screens flickered with data streams. Officers moved with practiced efficiency. At the center of it all stood General David Park, head of strategic defense. He looked up as Torres entered through the blast doors. How long until Cole arrives? Torres asked. His transport lands in 2 hours, Madam President. Good. Activate Ghost Fleet protocols. I want every ship ready to move within 4 days. Park nodded slowly. Once we do this, there's no going back. The Council will see it as an act of war. They started this war when they killed Marcus, Torres replied. We're just going to finish it. Admiral James Cole looked older than his 60 years. His hair had gone completely white, and deep lines marked his face. But his eyes remained sharp as he stood in the fleet command center, studying the holographic display before him. 300 warships floated in the projection. They were scattered across 12 hidden shipyards in the asteroid belt, built over 15 years in absolute secrecy. Each ship incorporated technology that humanity had quietly reverse-engineered from alien designs and improved. The Ghost Fleet, humanity's insurance policy. "I never thought we'd actually need to use them," General Parks said from beside him. Cole's jaw tightened. Marcus knew we might. "He supported the project from the beginning," said the Council, reminded him too much of old empires, arrogant, comfortable, and blind to their own weakness. Was he right? We're about to find out. Cole touched a control, and the display zoomed to Unity Prime Station. The station has defensive weapons, but they haven't been used in combat for 10,000 years. Their military is ceremonial at best. They've had peace for so long, they've forgotten what war actually looks like. And we haven't, Park said quietly. "No, we haven't." Cole turned to face the assembled officers. "All captains are being recalled from leave. All crews report for duty within 24 hours. We launch in 6 days." A young officer raised her hand. "Admiral, what's our objective?" Cole's expression didn't change. "The Council took one of ours. We're going to make sure they understand the price of that decision. We're going to Unity Prime, and we're going to deliver a message they'll never forget." "What message, sir?" "That humanity doesn't forgive, and we never forget." On Unity Prime, Prime Arbiter Krell reviewed reports in his private chamber. The execution had gone smoothly. The other species seemed satisfied. The humans would complain, of course, but they would ultimately submit. They always did. His assistant, a younger Vex named Shrell, entered with a data pad. "The human delegation has departed the station," Shrell reported. "They refused all further communication." "Expected," Krell said dismissively. "They're emotional creatures. They'll calm down in time. There's one other thing, Arbiter. Our deep space sensors detected unusual quantum fluctuations in the Sol system. Multiple signatures, possibly ship movements." Krell barely glanced at the report. Humans moving ships around their own system. Nothing unusual. They're probably just posturing for their population. Should we increase monitoring? No need. Even if they sent their entire fleet, they lack the numbers or technology to threaten the station. We have defensive systems built by civilizations that mastered space warfare while humans still lived in caves. Krell waved a hand dismissively. "Focus on more important matters." Trell bowed and left. Krell returned to his reports, already thinking about the next council session. Perhaps the Skarn expansion petition would be more interesting than the human matter. He never considered that he might have made the worst mistake in 10,000 years of council history. 6 days later, the Ghost Fleet emerged from slip space at the edge of Unity Prime's sensor range. 300 warships appeared simultaneously, their hulls dark and silent. They held position in perfect formation, like predators waiting to strike. On Unity Prime, alarms shrieked to life. Technicians scrambled to their stations. The council chamber erupted in confusion as species representatives shouted questions. Krell stared at the tactical display, his forearms hanging limp at his sides. 300 ships, human ships. Ships that shouldn't exist. How did they build this fleet? He whispered out his tactical officer, a Skarn named Voss, hissed in disbelief. They must have been building in secret for years. Decades, perhaps, right under our sensors. A communication signal cut through the chaos. All screens in the chamber flickered to the same image. Admiral James Cole, standing on the bridge of his flagship. His face was carved from stone. His voice was quiet, cold, and absolutely certain. "Prime Arbiter Krell, you executed Ambassador Marcus Webb. You believed this would make humanity submit to your authority. You were wrong." Krell tried to speak, but no words came. Cole continued, "You took one of ours. We're here to collect the debt. You have 1 hour to evacuate all non-council species from Unity Prime. After that, we're coming in. And I promise you, by the time we're done, the galaxy will understand one simple truth. Humanity protects its own. Always." The transmission ended. Krell looked at his tactical display. 300 warships holding position. Weapons powered but not yet armed. Waiting. Patient dot for the first time in 200 years. Prime Arbiter Krell felt fear. The humans had come for their revenge. And they had brought an army. Asterisk. The reckoning, the evacuation alarm, echoed through Unity Prime's corridors. Thousands of beings scrambled toward the docking bays. Civilians, merchants, diplomats from neutral species. They had 53 minutes before humanity's deadline expired. Prime Arbiter Krell stood in the Council's war room, surrounded by military advisors from a dozen species. The holographic display showed the Ghost Fleet holding position, a wall of steel and fire waiting at their doorstep. "Can we fight them?" Krell demanded. General Voss, the Skarn military commander, studied the tactical data. His reptilian eyes narrowed. "Our defensive systems are powerful, Arbiter. Unity Prime was designed to withstand attacks from entire fleets. But ... double coot." He paused, his tongue flicking nervously. "But what?" "These human ships. Their energy signatures don't match anything in our databases. They've modified their technology. We don't know what weapons they're carrying." Krell's mandibles clicked in frustration. "We have 10,000 years of military knowledge. They've been in space for barely 2 centuries. How can they possibly threaten us?" A looming delegate named Brightpath floated forward, her glowing form pulsing with concern. "Perhaps we should negotiate. The humans gave us time to evacuate civilians. That suggests they can be reasoned with." "They killed one ambassador," Krell snapped. "We will not negotiate with terrorists." "You killed their ambassador first," Brightpath said quietly. Silence fell over the war room. Krell turned away from her. "Activate all defensive systems. Scramble our military vessels. If the humans want war, we'll give them a lesson in superior firepower." Aboard the flagship Defiance, Admiral Cole watched the countdown timer. 41 minutes until the deadline. Around him, the bridge crew worked in focused silence. Each person knew their role. Each had volunteered for this mission. Captain Nina Reeves approached from the tactical station. She was 38, with sharp features and calculating eyes. "Admiral, the Council is powering up their defense grid. Energy weapons coming online across the station. They're also launching fighters, about 200 small craft." Cole nodded. "Expected. What about civilian evacuation?" 70% complete. Transport ships are still departing from the lower docking rings. We wait until they're all clear. Not one civilian casualty. That's not who we are." Reeves hesitated. "Sir, if we give them time to fully prepare their defenses." "We wait," Cole repeated firmly. "We came here for justice, not murder. The Council killed Marcus in cold blood. We're better than that." On the view screen, Unity Prime hung in space like a massive wheel. The station was 3 kilometers in diameter, home to 50,000 beings. Its hull gleamed with defensive turrets and shield generators. It had been built by the greatest civilizations in the galaxy, but it had never faced humanity at war. Cole opened a channel to the entire fleet. "All ships, this is Cole. Remember your training. Remember why we're here." Marcus Webb spent his life trying to build peace. The Council repaid him with execution. Today, we show them the cost of that decision. Stay disciplined. Stay focused. And stay human. 300 captains acknowledged the order. The countdown reached 20 minutes. On Unity Prime, panic spread through the council chambers. Representatives from various species argued, shouted, and demanded answers. Some wanted to fight. Others urged surrender. A few simply wanted to flee. Krell stood at the center of the chaos, his forearms spread wide. Silence. The chamber quieted. "The Council has stood for 10,000 years," Krell said, his voice amplified across the room. "We have maintained peace, order, and civilization across 100 systems. We will not bow to human aggression. We will show them that the Council's authority is absolute." A Vex warrior named Commander Zeth stepped forward. "Arbiter, our fleet is ready. 3 cruisers, 12 frigates, and 200 fighters. Not as many as the humans, but our technology is proven. Our shields are stronger, our weapons more refined. Then prepare to engage. The moment the deadline passes, we fire." Bright Path floated forward again. "Arbiter, please reconsider. The humans gave us time to evacuate civilians. That's mercy. Perhaps if we... Enough." Krell's mandibles clashed together. "Return to your delegation quarters, Bright Path. This is a military matter now." The lumen dimmed sadly, but retreated. Krell watched the countdown. 10 minutes remaining. His hearts beat faster, all 3 of them. He told himself it was anticipation, not fear. The Council would prevail. They always did, but deep inside, a small voice whispered doubt. The humans had built 300 warships in secret. They had hidden an entire fleet from the galaxy's most advanced sensors. They had planned for this moment. What else had they prepared? 5 minutes before the deadline, the last civilian transport cleared Unity Prime's defensive perimeter. Admiral Cole watched it disappear into slipspace, carrying refugees to safety. "All civilians clear, sir," Reeves reported. Cole nodded slowly. "Very well. All ships, battle stations, activate weapons systems. Charge main cannons." Across the Ghost Fleet, 300 warships came alive. Gun ports opened. Missile tubes armed. Energy weapons began their charge cycles. The darkness of space filled with the glow of preparation. Cole opened a final channel to Unity Prime. "Prime Arbiter Krell, this is your last chance. Surrender the Council members responsible for Ambassador Webb's execution. Face trial under neutral jurisdiction. End this peacefully." Krell's face appeared on the screen, his insectoid features twisted with anger. "Humanity will learn its place, Admiral. You cannot defeat the Council. Our technology is superior. Our experience vast. Your fleet will be destroyed, and your species will spend the next 1,000 years as servitors, remembering this foolish day." Cole's expression didn't change. "So be it. You had your chance." He cut the transmission. "Captain Reeves, signal the fleet. Operation Hammer begins in 30 seconds. All ships assume attack formation Delta 7. Carrier groups move to flanking positions. Destroy all military targets. Avoid civilian sections. And someone get me a direct firing solution on the Council chamber." "Sir?" Reeves looked shocked. "You're going to target the chamber itself? They want to play with lives?" Cole's voice was ice. "Let them see what it feels like when the executioner comes for them." The countdown reached 0. "All ships," Cole commanded. "Fire." 300 warships opened fire. Simultaneously, the Ghost Fleets. Main cannons had been humanity's secret project reverse-engineered. From alien plasma technology, but modified with human ingenuity. They didn't just fire energy. They fired compressed quantum. Packets that punched through shields like paper. First volley hit Unity Primes. Defense grid before the Council even realized. The attack had begun. Shields flickered and died. Defensive turrets exploded in chains of fire. The station's outer hull cracked under the assault. Entire sections vented atmosphere into space. Impossible. Commander Zeph stared at his tactical display in horror. Their weapons, they're cutting through our shields. Krell gripped his command throne. Return fire. Launch all fighters. Activate the secondary defense grid. But the human fleet was already moving. 300 ships broke into coordinated groups, each with a specific target. Carrier groups released drone swarms that overwhelmed the Council's fighters. Destroyer squadrons targeted the station's weapons emplacements. Cruisers positioned themselves around Unity Prime, cutting off escape routes. It wasn't a battle. It was a surgical strike. Council cruisers tried to engage, but the human ships moved with terrifying coordination. They had practiced this, planned every move, anticipated every defense. One Council cruiser, the mighty Vex warship Eternal Justice, moved to intercept the human flagship. It was twice the size of Defiance. With weapons that could crack planets. It lasted 40 seconds. Human destroyers swarmed it from 3 sides. Missiles overwhelmed its point defense. Quantum cannons carved through its hull. The Eternal Justice broke apart in a silent explosion that lit up the darkness. By the ancestors, Zeth whispered. They're not just attacking. They're dissecting us. Krell watched his fleet crumble. 12 frigates, reduced to 8 in under 3 minutes. Fighters swatted from space by human drones. Defensive positions obliterated by concentrated fire. How? He breathed. How are they this good? Brightpath's voice came through his communicator, sad but certain. Because humans never stop fighting, Arbiter. It's their nature. While we built monuments to peace, they studied war. While we forgot how to fight, they remembered. You should have listened to Ambassador Webb. Another explosion rocked the station. Krell grabbed his throne to stay upright. All remaining ships, fall back to the station. He commanded, form a defensive perimeter. We hold them here. But the human fleet didn't pause. They pressed the attack with relentless precision. Every movement calculated. Every shot deliberate. They fought like they had done this 1,000 times before, because their ancestors had. On the Defiance, Admiral Cole watched the tactical display with calm satisfaction. Status report. Council fleet is broken, sir. 8 frigates retreating. Fighter losses at 70%. Station defenses at 40% capacity and falling. We've taken minimal damage. 3 destroyers with minor hull breaches, already contained. Cole nodded. Good. Begin Phase 2. I want dropships ready to deploy. Assault teams prep for boarding. We didn't come all this way to just blow up the station, Captain. We came to deliver justice. And justice requires looking them in the eye. Cole stood from his command chair and headed toward the hangar bay. I'm leading the assault personally. You have command of the fleet. If I don't make it back, you know what to do. Reeves saluted. Yes, sir. Give them hell, Admiral. Cole allowed himself a thin smile. That's exactly the plan. In the council chamber, chaos reigned. Delegates screamed for evacuation. Security forces tried to maintain order. Krell stood at the center, watching his world collapse around him. The main view screen showed the human fleet surrounding Unity Prime. 300 ships, barely scratched, holding position like wolves circling wounded prey. Then, a new alarm. Boarding pods. Dozens of them, launched from the human carriers. They're coming inside, Zeph said, his voice hollow. Arbiter, we need to evacuate you now. No. Krell straightened his posture. I won't run. If the humans want me, let them come. I am Prime Arbiter of the Galactic Council. I don't hide from children. These children just destroyed our fleet in under 5 minutes. Krell didn't respond. He simply watched the boarding pods streaking toward the station. Like falling stars, The pods hit the docking bays with precision. Hatches blew open, and from them emerged human soldiers in full combat armor, carrying weapons that looked like they'd been designed for hunting monsters. At the front of the first wave walked Admiral James Cole, his white hair stark against his black armor. He had come to collect his debt, and nothing in the galaxy was going to stop him. Justice served. Boarding pod's hatch exploded open with a hiss of compressed air. Admiral James Cole stepped onto Unity Prime's docking bay, his boots clanging against the metal floor. Behind him, 50 soldiers spread out in formation, weapons ready, movements precise. The bay was empty. Council security forces had retreated deeper into the station. "Smart," muttered Lieutenant Tom Baker, Cole's second in command. He was young, only 26, but he'd trained for urban combat since joining the military. "They're setting up defensive positions in the corridors." Cole checked his tactical display. 20 other boarding teams had penetrated the station at different points. All reported minimal resistance. They're not used to fighting on their own ground. 10,000 years of peace made them soft. "Where to, Admiral?" "Council chamber." "Upper level, Section 12? That's where Krell will be." The team moved through Unity Prime's corridors like water flowing downhill smooth, unstoppable, finding every weakness. They encountered their first resistance at a junction leading to the upper levels. 12 Council security guards, wearing ceremonial armor that hadn't been tested in actual combat for centuries. They carried energy rifles, but held them awkwardly, like props rather than weapons. The lead guard, a Vex warrior, raised his weapon. "Halt! You are in violation of Council law. Surrender immediately." Cole didn't slow down. "We're here for the Council members who murdered our ambassador. Stand aside and you'll live. Fight and you won't. We cannot allow." Baker's shot took the guard in the shoulder before he could finish. The energy bolt wasn't lethal, but it dropped him instantly. The other guards scattered, firing wild shots that missed by meters. Human soldiers returned fire with disciplined bursts. Within seconds, all 12 guards lay unconscious on the floor, their armor smoking from stun shots. "Keep moving," Cole ordered. "Non-lethal force unless absolutely necessary. These guards are just doing their jobs. The Council members are our targets." They pushed deeper into the station. More guards tried to stop them. All failed. The humans had trained for this, clearing hostile structures, neutralizing armed resistance, moving as a unified force. Every soldier knew their role. Every move had been practiced 1,000 times. The Council's security forces had trained for ceremonies. It wasn't even close to a fair fight. In the Council chamber, Krell watched his security feeds die one by one. Human teams advanced through every corridor, sweeping aside resistance like it wasn't even there. His guards fell back, retreated, surrendered. Some simply ran. "They'll be here in less than 10 minutes, Commander Zeth reported. His voice had lost all confidence. "Arbiter, we must evacuate. I have a transport standing by." I said no. Krell's forearms trembled slightly, but his voice remained firm. "I am Prime Arbiter. I don't run from threats. If the humans want to negotiate, let them come. If they want revenge—" He paused. "Then perhaps they deserve it." Zeth stared at him. "Arbiter?" Krell turned to face the Skarn commander. For the first time in 200 years, doubt showed in his compound eyes. "We killed their leader, Zeth. We executed him for trying to help his people survive. We did it publicly, to humiliate them, to teach them their place." He made a clicking sound of regret. "We treated them like children, like inferiors. But they're not, are they? They're barbarians. Barbarians who built a fleet we never detected. Barbarians who just destroyed our military in 5 minutes. Barbarians who are now inside our station. Unstoppable. Krell's mandibles drooped. Perhaps we're the ones who needed to learn our place. The chamber doors exploded inward. Admiral Cole strode through the smoke, flanked by armed soldiers. His face was hard as stone, his eyes locked on Krell. The remaining council delegates, 23 species representatives, backed away in terror. Only Krell stood his ground, his forearms spread in a gesture of surrender. Admiral Cole, Krell said quietly, you've made your point. Your fleet is superior. Your soldiers unstoppable. You've won. What now? Do you kill us all? Destroy the council completely? Cole walked forward until he stood directly before the Arbiter. Is that what you think we are? Murderers? You destroyed our fleet, invaded our station. We destroyed your military capability. We gave civilians time to evacuate. We used non-lethal force on your guards whenever possible. Cole's voice was cold, but controlled. We're not you, Krell. We don't execute prisoners just to prove a point. Krell's mandibles twitched. Then why are you here? Justice. Cole gestured, and his soldiers moved forward, restraining the council delegates with electronic cuffs. You killed Ambassador Webb without trial, without evidence, without mercy. You murdered him to send a message to humanity. Now we're sending you a message. What message? Cole leaned closer. That humanity remembers. That we don't forgive crimes against our people. And that we're done being treated like second-class citizens in this galaxy. He stepped back and addressed the entire chamber. All council members present during Ambassador Webb's execution are under arrest. You'll be transported to Earth to face trial under neutral jurisdiction. Representatives from all major species will be invited to observe. You'll have lawyers, evidence, a fair process. Everything you denied Marcus. Bright Path floated forward from where she'd been hiding. Her glow was bright with relief. Admiral, thank you. This is the right choice. Justice, not revenge. Cole nodded to her. Some species in the council tried to prevent Webb's execution. We know who voted for mercy. Those delegates are free to go. Soldiers began separating the council members. Some went quietly. Others protested. Krell simply stood silent, accepting his fate. One more thing, Cole added. His voice carried through the chamber. Unity Prime is now under human military authority until a new council can be established, one that treats all species equally. We'll be releasing evidence of the council's corruption, the way they manipulated laws to favor older species, how they suppressed younger civilizations to maintain their power. You're overthrowing the council, Krell said flatly. We're reforming it. There's a difference. Cole gestured to his soldiers. Take them to the transport ships. As guards led Krell away, the old Arbiter paused. Admiral, may I ask one question? Cole nodded. Asterisk. How long were you planning this? The fleet, the weapons, the strategy. This didn't happen overnight. Cole's expression didn't change. Ambassador Webb started the Ghost Fleet project 17 years ago. He said the council reminded him of old empires on Earth, powerful, arrogant, and doomed to fall. He wanted humanity to be ready when that day came. He spent his life trying to reform the council peacefully. You killed him for it. Cole's voice hardened. So yes, we were ready. We've always been ready. Because that's what humans do. We prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. Krell made a clicking sound that might have been laughter or sadness. Ambassador Webb was a wise man. I should have listened to him. Yes, Cole said quietly. You should have. 3 hours later, the council delegates were secured aboard human transport ships. The Ghost Fleet maintained position around Unity Prime, ensuring no one interfered with the transfer. Cole stood in the council chamber, now empty except for his command staff. Captain Reeves approached with a data pad. "Admiral, we're receiving communications from across the galaxy. 15 species have already sent messages supporting our actions. 8 more are requesting diplomatic meetings. The Lumens are proposing a new council structure with equal representation." Cole nodded slowly. "And the others?" "Silent, watching, waiting to see what we do next." "Let them watch." Cole looked at the empty chamber, at the throne where Krell had sat for 2 centuries. "We didn't come here to conquer. We came for justice. Now we make sure the galaxy understands the difference." Lieutenant Baker spoke up. "Sir, what about Earth? Are they ready for what comes next?" "We just overthrew the galactic government. There'll be consequences." "There always are," Cole replied. "But Earth isn't alone anymore. We've got allies now, species who are also tired of the Council's corruption. We'll build something better together." He activated his communicator. "All ships, prepare for departure. Leave defense platforms active around Unity Prime. Establish communication protocols with species leaders willing to negotiate. And send a message to President Torres' mission accomplished. Ambassador Webb has been avenged." Reeves smiled slightly. "She'd be pleased, maybe." Cole looked out at the stars through the chamber's massive windows. But Marcus wouldn't have wanted revenge. He wanted change. Real change. A galaxy where humans and aliens work together as equals, not as masters and servants. "Do you think we can build that?" Cole was silent for a moment. Then he nodded. "We just destroyed the most powerful government in the galaxy and arrested its leaders. If we can do that in 5 minutes, we can build something better." He turned to his staff. "Let's go home. We've got a lot of work ahead of us." 3 months later, Earth. The trial of the council members was broadcast across the galaxy. Lawyers from 30 species presented evidence. Witnesses testified. The process was transparent, fair, and thorough. Everything the council had denied Ambassador Webb. Prime Arbiter, Krell, and 12 other council members were found guilty of murder, abuse of power, and corruption. Their sentences were 20 years imprisonment on a neutral world, with conditions for early release based on cooperation with council reforms. It was mercy they hadn't shown Marcus Webb. President Torres stood before the new Galactic Assembly, a reformed council with equal representation for all species, regardless of age or size. Human delegate Sarah Mitchell took Earth's seat, the same seat Marcus Webb had once held. Ambassador Webb believed that different species could work together, Torres said in her address. He died trying to build that future. Today, we honor his memory by actually building it. Not through force, but through cooperation. Not through domination, but through partnership. She paused, letting her words sink in. Humanity didn't want war. We wanted respect. We wanted fairness. When the old council denied us those things, we showed them the cost of that mistake. But we didn't destroy them, we reformed them. Because that's what Marcus would have wanted. The assembly erupted in applause, humans and aliens together. Admiral Cole watched from the observation deck. Beside him stood General Park and Captain Reeves. "Think it'll last?" Park asked. "This new council?" Cole smiled slightly. "Maybe, maybe not. But at least now, if it fails, it won't be because humanity wasn't ready to fight for what's right. And the Ghost Fleet remains active, just in case." Cole's expression hardened. "We learned our lesson. Hope for peace, but prepare for war. Stay strong, stay vigilant, stay human." Reeves looked at the assembly below. Marcus would be proud. "Yeah," Cole said softly. "I think he would." Epilogue on Unity Prime. Now the headquarters of the new Galactic Assembly. A memorial stood in the main plaza. It was simple a stone monument with two names carved in both English and Galactic Standard Script. Ambassador Marcus Webb, Humanity's voice. Silenced but not forgotten below it, a second line. They took one of ours. We made sure no one ever would again. Aliens visiting Unity Prime often stopped to read it. Some felt shame. Others felt respect. All understood the message. Humanity had proven they could be destroyed, but they could never be broken. They had shown mercy to their enemies and justice to the corrupt. They had fought not for conquest, but for dignity, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again, not in a small apartment on Earth. Cole received one final message on the encrypted channel that Marcus Webb had used for the Ghost Fleet project. It had been scheduled to send 3 months after his death. The video showed Marcus in his office, smiling that gentle smile that had made him such an effective diplomat. James, if you're watching this, it means the Council killed me. And it means you activated the Ghost Fleet. Marcus leaned back in his chair. I hope you gave them hell. But more importantly, I hope you showed them mercy afterward. That's what separates us from them. We remember our humanity even in our darkest moments. Marcus's expression grew serious. The galaxy needs what we bring to it, our passion, our determination, our refusal to accept injustice. But it also needs our compassion, our fairness, our belief that people can change. Use the Ghost Fleet to demand respect. Then use that respect to build something better. He smiled again. Take care of them, James. Take care of all of them, human and alien alike. That's what leaders do. The video ended. Cole sat in silence for a long moment. Then he raised his glass toward the screen. Mission accomplished, Marcus. Rest easy. We've got it from here. Outside his window, Earth turned peacefully in space, protected by the Ghost Fleet and the Alliance's humanity, had forged through strength and mercy. Ambassador Marcus Webb had died to teach the Council a lesson. Admiral James Cole had made sure they learned it. And humanity had earned its place among the stars, not as conquerors, not as servants, but as equals who would fight for justice and peace with equal determination. The galaxy would never forget, and neither would humanity. The end. Asterisk.